treat. Smell my feet. I forget the rest. It rhymes though.
Warning. The following podcast is another wasted hour. Warning. The following podcast is another wasted hour.
Don't waste my motherfucking time!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of the Keith is Alone and Has to Do a Show by Himself show. It's also known as Another Wasted Hour. However, I am here in the studio with just our guest, luckily. So I do have somebody to speak to. Otherwise, it would just be complete mayhem of me being a crazy person speaking to myself. But there will be no difference. The next hour will be replaced with, well, one ignorant, uninformed, ill-advised, self-deprecating moron ranting about opinions that I have no right to have, which are probably wrong and absolutely do not matter. I refuse to call our guest an idiot, so I'm just going to go with me on that. But our goal is to convince you that where we hail from, just outside Washington, D.C., is not just a city of politics, scandals, and but it's one brimming with art, music, and culture. As impossible as that may seem. So, listeners, now that you know why you're here, I am Keith, and next to me is our guest of the week, Dan Buckner. Welcome, Dan. Why are you here this week?
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I'm here to talk about the album that my band By and By is going to be releasing in just a couple of weeks. And
I heard about this. This is very exciting.
We're very excited.
Yeah, you have a CD called Songs for This Old Heart. And that's coming out on Saturday, November 18th. And you're doing a show at Solly's in Washington, D.C. And we actually have a world premiere of the track Slow Burn.
Right here tonight.
So if you are very impatient and you cannot stand this any longer, you can fast forward to the 1 hour mark of this show, listen to the entire track of Slow Burn, then you can turn the show off and that's all you needed. That's it. That was the most important bit. The rest, we're just going to like sit here and talk and laugh about things, but that's not productive. So, but more importantly, if you like that music, you can come back, you can learn about Dan and the band By and By, and hopefully come see them play all of those songs. I assume all of them. Are you going to do all of them?
I would think so. Yes.
Yeah. It seems like
we're still working
release.
out the set list, but yeah.
It would be weird to be like, we don't like that one. We don't know why it made it on there.
Well, the one where we brought in the 20-piece orchestra, it's going to be hard to recreate.
You just get people in the audience to hum it. Right?
That's a great idea. We could pass out kazoos.
Oh, there. See, that's basically an orchestra, right? This has to happen, Dan.
I wish that there was actually a track that had a 20-piece orchestra.
They should all have 20-piece orchestras.
I mean, the track that we're listening to tonight could be a good
contender for it?
For sure.
All right.
For sure. I can already hear the arrangement.
When maybe when we do a sample later in the show, I'll break out a kazoo and we can kazoo along with it. So I don't know about you, Dan, but for the rest of our beautiful country, we had Halloween. Did that happen to you?
It did.
It did. Okay. It's also in the bluegrass community. They also have Halloween.
They do. And I was out with my kids, walking them around. And
what were they dressed as?
My daughter was a witch. She wanted to go as the baddest witch.
So there was a qualifier. It wasn't just any witch. Like, right. I want to be able to beat all of the other witches with just how evil I am.
Right. And so but she's 5. So she's 6. Jeez. She just turned.
That's that she turned into a witch. That's that's hard to be evil like at that age because you're so adorable.
Exactly. Right.
Even when you do evil things, you're like, I kicked you, and you're like, yeah, it's okay.
She went up to one house where they told her to take 2 pieces of candy, and she asked, "Do I have to take 2, or can I just take 1?" That's clearly not my daughter.
Yeah, right. She's like, she was saving up that karma for the empty bowl, or like the bowl with just the post-it note that says "take 1." She's like, I'm taking 1 bowl.
Right. She's collecting it for me, so when she only takes 1 for her, that means I get 1 less bite-sized Snickers.
Right. You get screwed out of all the fun-sized assortment that you could have.
They are fun.
And do you have another child as well?
I do. I have a son.
Okay.
Ben is 4, and he
went
as Spider-Man.
As the second worst witch, right?
Yeah, right. No, he was very excited to be Spider-Man.
Oh, that's very cool.
And
that's a good one. It's gained popularity again. For a while there.
Over and over.
Yeah. for a while there, we had gotten away from like the Marvel universe and stuff, and then now we're kind of coming back into it.
What I don't understand though is it seems like, and my kids included, all the kids, they wear costumes that were purchased at the store.
Okay,
And
yeah.
When I was growing up, I don't know anybody who had store purchased costumes. We always made our own costumes.
No, that's
And
a good point.
And there's a creative aspect to it that I think is being lost.
I am a big sucker for the people who come up with like the really weird costumes.
Yeah.
You know, like even if it's like not a lot of effort, I really love those. I had a coworker, she all she did is she wore like I guess it was like a Mardi Gras mask or something, just one of those like over the eye masks, and it was decorated. And then she had a name tag that said blessing, and she was a blessing in disguise.
Oh,
and I love those. They're like dad joke costumes.
That's a great way to describe it.
Yeah,
that's exactly
but
right.
they make me so happy when people do them, you know, like I'm a Freudian slip, you know, and it's somebody wearing a slip. And yeah, like I don't know. Those are my favorite when people come up with those. So I hope if I become a father, I will, that will be my goal, is just to embarrass my children with dad joke costumes.
Right. Well,
we don't even have like actual trick-or-treaters here. So, so at my house, we moved in here about 8 years ago. I think we've had a grand total of about 8 trick-or-treaters.
Wow.
And those were in like 3 groups, like on various years.
Right.
Like it was like 2 showed up one year and 3 another year and 3 another year. And then the rest, nothing.
Well, my neighborhood doesn't feel like there are many children like during the rest of the year, but on Halloween, it's just like they just descend on the neighborhood. It's very.
Does your neighborhood have a lot of basements? That might explain it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's where they're all.
And do they have a lot of screens keeping them all inside?
That's true. That is the other piece. That's way more wholesome than my image. You're just going like, video games. I'm like chained in a basement. That's how you know you're
Same
a father.
thing though, really.
Yeah, right. We've actually gotten to the point where we're now like we're tempting fate. Where instead of buying like a whole bag of candy,
you just got a pack of Milanos in the.
No, we buy like 5 full-size candy bars, right? Because we're like, if you show up, you're winning the lottery.
Absolutely,
right? And we've never gone through them.
Yeah.
We've never.
Gosh, I feel like I can still remember receiving those like 3 times that I got a full-size candy bar, because that was amazing.
It wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like that was the thing that made Halloween, which is weird because you had so much other food there. Like you had more like tiny Snickers combined than you had a real Snickers.
Yeah, but it's the thought, right? That someone went out and did that for you.
There was, I don't know, I think maybe we had just gotten to a point where we were so lazy as children that we're like, I want to eat that much candy, but I don't want to have to unwrap 8 of them.
I feel like there is a developmental leap that I feel like every human being, at least in places where they celebrate Halloween, takes.
Yeah.
When you realize that you can go to the store and buy your own candy any time of year.
Right.
Because I remember looking forward to Halloween because, oh my God, I'm going to have so much candy. But then at some point I was like, well, I would like candy now. It's March and I'm just going to go to the 7-Eleven and get some candy.
That's true.
I feel like getting over that, I feel like that marks a big point in every person's life.
That's true. And then there's a second one, because the first one is if you find $20, you think, oh my God, how much candy can I buy with this $20? And then at some point in your life, it goes, I could totally get 4 beers with this.
Oh,
right. Like
I might still think about the candy.
You're still in the candy.
It depends on the time of day.
That's true. So that's another one. I remember when I was a kid, I think I found $20 once. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be able to eat so much candy. This is more candy than I could eat in one setting. Like $20 worth of candy. And now it's like, $20 that's hardly even impressive.
Yeah, but 4 beers.
That is. It is. It's easily.
And then you're impressive.
Yeah. And I think, what did I say? The thing that I think is worse about like Halloween in today's world is that I assume this was different like decades or centuries ago, but there's not enough trick, I think. The kids come up and say trick or treat, and we're just like, just here's treats.
My daughter asked me that very question before. Why do they say trick at the beginning? And I kind of struggled for an answer. I said, because that's what they used to do, is they used to play tricks on you. But is that what trick refers to? It feels like...
we were going to have to look it up, because I have to feel like there must be something. And my theory is, either I kind of want to do that more.
Yeah.
Right. Here would be a great one, I think.
So someone either gets a full-size candy bar or they get tricked when they show up.
Yeah,
man,
could go either way.
Right.
Huh? Is it worth the challenge? Or if you just do full-size candy bars, but they're from other countries.
Oh.
And then you're like, it's a full-size. I don't know this one. Is it good? I'm really scared now. Is that what flavor? It's strawberry? Is that even a candy flavor for a chocolate bar?
Is that a melon flavor?
Yeah, right. So I think that would work really well. My theory is that maybe it was a negotiation. Like they'd come to your door and they'd knock and like,
oh,
I'm either going to do a trick on your house and like do something terrible.
Oh.
Or if you give me a treat, I'll move along.
Wow. That adds a whole different element to shopping for candy then.
Right. Because
you cannot give out just, Whoppers and Twizzlers.
Nobody wants Whoppers.
No. That's why they give you almost all Whoppers in those bags.
Right, because they've been in a storage bin somewhere. Nobody buys them normally.
Right.
That's my theory with candy corn, is that there's somebody made like 100,000 pounds of candy corn like in the 1920s, and that's the same candy corn that's still out there.
Candy corn used to be the most popular Halloween candy that there was.
Right, and we wouldn't let women vote. Like that's
true.
That's the people who
we do have a
that.
dark past.
I'm just saying, those are the same people. The same people who sprayed black people with water hoses were like, candy corn. That sounds delicious.
Well, candy corn was actually just one of a whole line of different food flavored food shaped candies.
Yeah, because not flavored. It's just like
there were candy beets.
No one. They had to go lower.
Right.
That's because corn is not high up on the like candy like level of things. If you're shaping your candy, corn's not up there. So you had to have like beets and like squash.
It's just amazing that corn like won out.
Well,
and here we are 100 years later.
Yeah.
Still eating it.
If you had a choice between candy broccoli and candy corn, you're going corn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? I mean, yeah. Okay. Well,
I'd be really interested to see what candy broccoli looks like, though.
Right. Like trees. I mean, it'd be tiny trees. That's what they are.
That sounds awesome.
That's how you convince children to eat them. Would you like to be a giant today and eat some trees? Well, yeah. Excellent. Don't say broccoli. Nobody likes broccoli.
Right.
But if you say you can act like a giant and eat an entire forest of trees,
that's why my kids love broccoli.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So that now that we've taught you all about the origins of Halloween that we don't know for sure, and how to raise your children, let's get to one of our favorite parts of the show, the weather report. So as many of you know, and Dan, you've probably heard the show before, but I will give you the rundown, the weather report. I have found news from around the internet. That's where news comes from. And what I need you to do is you're going to be the editor-in-chief of your own newspaper or publication. You're going to let us know what is news and what isn't news, or in other words, whether or not it is news. Okay. First off, do you know it? What are you going to name your publication?
Oh,
do you have an idea? We can get back to it. We're going to get back to it. You think about it. Maybe at the end we'll have the official reveal of your publication. I kind of caught you off guard with that, so I apologize.
No problem.
So we'll start off with, have you seen the movie Happy Gilmore?
I have seen the movie Happy Gilmore once or 2,000 times.
All right. Shooter McGavin. You know Shooter McGavin?
I do.
Shooter McGavin was arrested for a DUI, and the actor who played Shooter McGavin actually pulled the "I was in Happy Gilmore" card.
Oh, wow.
That's ballsy, right?
Awesome.
To be like, hey, I know I'm really drunk and operating a vehicle, but I was in a popular movie a long time ago.
I'm surprised he wasn't just recognized for the role. I'm surprised he had to pull that card.
Right. But like, no, don't take me to jail.
Shooter.
I'm Shooter.
Go on your way, please. Did it get him out of it?
Not that I'm aware of. No, I don't.
It was reported, so
Yeah.
presumably not.
No, he got arrested. So pro tip, if you're going to try and pull the I was in this very popular movie card, please make sure you weren't the villain in the movie. That's important, I think.
Got it.
Bad news for Anthony Hopkins, who never played a good guy. And also whoever the douchebag is that plays Kylo Ren. So Christopher McDonald is his name. He's been in over 200 movies, actually. But he got, which is interesting, because then he got pulled over for suspected DUI this week. And the only one he could think of out of those 200 was the one where he's
wow, that is something.
a pompous ass hat. That's where he's like, oh yeah, this is the one. This is going to do it. And for the record, in that movie, totally got arrested.
You're right.
Right.
Right at the end.
Yeah, you don't want to like, hey, no, I'm the guy who played a part that got arrested also.
Right.
So this is my second offense. Also make sure it's not your second DUI. Just another tip to Shooter McGavin. Maybe stop doing that. So probably not the best get out of jail free card you could possibly have.
Right.
But is it news?
I have to decide after each one whether to publish it.
Yeah,
okay.
you're going to publish
Oh,
this.
I would then, yeah.
This is going in.
Yeah.
This is news.
Yeah, I think it is.
Now, usually Victor and I are very, we are very competitive about the news. He's not here, so I feel really strongly that I'm going to win. So,
yeah, that makes it easier.
Yeah, it totally does. All right. Next line item here. France is running out of butter for its croissants.
Yeah, I don't think that would be news.
So French dairy farmers are cluing into the fact that the French use butter, like a lot of it.
For sure.
On everything. And so they are upping their prices, supply and demand. Supermarkets, apparently in France, however, are inviting those farmers to French fuck themselves, and they're not going to budge on the prices. So they won't sell it for any more than it currently is. I guess it's considered there like just a staple of life. So it's like water and things like it's a utility.
But as a result,
yeah,
it seems like that's just going to make way for a black market of.
It does seem weird.
A black butter market.
Right. And so apparently the farmers are just selling butter in other countries and they're running out of butter. So there's going to be lines for butter. Like it's the 70s with the gasoline shortage.
Yeah. Well, I still don't think that I would print it.
No? All right.
Until the riots started.
Until the butter riots.
Until the butter riots started. And then I would run a big backstory.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're keeping this in your back pocket in case it escalates.
Absolutely, but I have to be a responsible editor of this paper.
At some point in time, cows will be stolen, right? I mean, people are going to go.
I'm envisioning people making butter in their bathtubs and
bathtub butter. It's a little grainy, but it'll do.
Yeah, well, don't they all bathe in those big steel tubs over there? It seems like it'd be a good butter turn.
I would imagine the claw hammer or claw foot tubs.
Right. Oh yeah.
That's what I would think for French.
You're right.
Every single one of them. Right. I don't know if there's taps on it or if they have to like bring buckets in. I'm not even sure where France is. I'll be honest. It's somewhere in Africa. Is it? I
thought it was near Georgia.
That's right. I think it is near Georgia. So all right. So not news. We're one for two at this point.
Yep.
I tried, but we were perfect for one. The FDA is warning people to not accidentally overdose on black licorice this Halloween. See, I see from your eyes.
I feel like I need to know more about this before I decide whether to print it, but I certainly, first of all, I like any story that is going to make people fear for their lives.
Exactly.
Based on doing something that but who eats black licorice? So who's going to be scared of that?
Don't be racist, okay? All forms of licorice are delicious.
Oh, I would say that all forms of people do not like black licorice.
Oh, that's fair. From the way your eyes opened up, I'm going to say that this has to be news because you're like, I need to know about this.
I do.
So I feel like I'm just going to say that would be the decision criteria for me, but you're the editor in chief.
No,
so I'll continue. I'll give you more and you can decide.
I think the readers who would appreciate a story about Shooter McGavin getting arrested for a DUI are also going to appreciate a story about deadly black licorice.
So
overdoses.
Here's what you know now about black licorice.
Oh, wait a second. I have a guess. Can I guess what it is?
Sure, guess it.
Black licorice and absinthe
No,
Okay.
not at all. So
right.
black licorice contains a sweetening compound called glycosylthan. That's probably not how you say it, but
No, I think that's right.
it's close enough. And which can cause a drop in potassium levels.
Okay.
With low levels of potassium, some people might experience high blood pressure, swelling, and even congestive heart failure, says the FDA.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can die.
And how much black licorice?
They didn't say for sure how much it was,
Okay.
but they did give us some tips that I thought were really helpful for saving your life.
Great.
1, don't eat too much of the stuff at one go.
That sounds vaguely like what President Trump just prescribed to solve the opioid crisis.
Yeah, don't do so
Just
much of
don't
it.
do that.
Just I like that they didn't say like 18 pounds of the stuff. They just said just not too much of it.
Right.
The moment you eat too much of it, you shouldn't have done that.
I feel like people know that boundary anyway with black licorice.
You think so?
I
don't know.
Do you know people who have binged on black licorice?
I don't know. I'm curious because of the second
Would
tip.
they tell you?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, tell me
because of the
sorry,
second tip, which gives me more pause, right? Which is if you have been eating a lot of it, especially if you have irregular heart rhythm or muscle weakness, stop and call your doctor. So that means that the FDA thinks that there's a group of people that are eating licorice and being like, I can hardly stand, and my heart's going, more licorice, right? Because at no point in time do I think like I'm gonna call the paramedics because I'm having irregular heartbeats, and while I wait for them, eat some more of this delicious licorice.
I like the idea of calling the on-call doctor and saying I've eaten a lot of licorice.
Right.
I would like to hear the doctor's response to that.
Well, no, because that wouldn't be the thing you like started
right.
with,
It would
right?
be the congestive heart failure.
Right. You'd be like, I'm feeling like some irregular heartbeat and stuff. And they'd be like, oh, okay. So have you been doing any exercise?
Right.
No, not at all. Have you been drinking? No. Smoking? No smoking. Have you recently had any stress in your life? No, it's been pretty easy just eating this licorice. Oh, that's it.
Right.
There's no way that's on the list of things you ask, right? Like on the
I don't
phone.
know. I guess the FDA is saying it needs to be.
It needs to be as you go into the ER.
Yeah.
I'm having heart pains. Have you been eating licorice? Obsessively in a weird way. Look at his teeth. Are they black?
Is it fentanyl or?
Yes. So is it news?
Yes, I would say that's.
It is news. Okay, cool. We're over 500 again. That's good. Maui judge orders man to write 144 nice things about ex-girlfriend.
I would say that's news.
So
I like any story where a judge is ordering somebody to do something ridiculous.
I love those, right? Those are the best.
Yeah.
So Judge Rhonda Liu ordered Darren Young, age 30, on Friday to write 144 compliments about his ex-girlfriend in response to the 144 nasty text messages and calls that he's accused of sending her. The Maui News reports that the 30-year-old Young received time served for spending 157 days in jail before sentencing, which I didn't even catch.
What was the charge?
Yeah, I guess the charge
sending
is
144
poor
mean texts?
penmanship. I don't know, like grammar. He was sentenced to the compliments, 2 years probation and $2,400 in fines, as well as 200 hours of community service. I would
like to see the text that he sent.
Right.
If it was the text that led to that punishment, I would really like to see what those were.
I would rather go to jail again than have to write 144 nice things about any of my exes.
Yeah.
That's so hard.
True. You're right. That is a difficult exercise to
If you were to say
through.
4, I could be like, yeah, there were some good times, right? 144. And he wasn't allowed to like repeat them either.
I would have a hard time finding 144 good things to say about anybody.
Did you hear that? Dan's wife? I'm just saying, if your wife is listening.
Yeah, but I mean,
can't think of 100.
That's a lot of things.
144.
I can't think of 144 good things to say about the best things there are.
Ms. Buckner, I want you to bring your children into the room and we're going to explain to them that there are not 144 good things about
them either.
Number 1, they don't eat copious amounts of black licorice. I don't even know them, and I can already tell you that. That's a good thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
they've got a long, healthy life ahead of them.
They won't die from licorice poisoning.
Right.
That's That's two things already.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's going to go, if that's part of the probation, where it's like you're on probation for 2 years and you have to do these things or you go back to jail. He's going back to jail.
Yep.
There's no way. It's impossible.
Free healthcare.
Right.
Free squares.
You'd have to get into really detailed things. Like your cells seem to split in a regular way.
Yeah. I could see going Shawshank.
Right.
I'd need a good poster.
Yeah, you definitely would.
Mine might be the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, though.
Yeah, that would be a better one.
Yeah,
because no one's gonna touch that one.
Exactly.
The Rita Hayworth, they might go like, "Oh, Rita, why
right.
is that soft? That area there seems to be hollow." But you're not gonna be like, "Oh, Donatello."
Right. Raphael, maybe.
Yeah, well, of course. All right. We got a couple more. We'll get through these quickly. Australian Minister Carrots. I don't know who the Australian minister is.
They have very difficult names.
I didn't think
it's pronounced kangaroo.
Kangaroo. Australian minister Kangaroo. Sorry for Irish warning. Would you like to hear more about this?
Yes, for sure.
Marlene Kangaroo, a minister in Victoria's state legislature, was warning against a scam involving unlicensed tradesmen in a campaign event on the 29th of October. In a clip aired on local TV in Melbourne, she said, and I quote, "If anyone knocks on your door and has an Irish accent, automatically ask them to leave."
Yikes. I would say that's news, except Australia is super racist.
Well, that's the thing. They have a bunch of things that are like, that's so racist. Although part of me wants to be like, I don't think that's a race.
No, but they just really don't like anybody who's not Australian.
Yeah.
Except for Aboriginals who are also Australian.
Which they probably don't like, but they have to be like, sorry about that.
No, yeah, it's a pretty rough existence over there, from what I understand.
Well, I think you don't pull punches if you live in a place where everything wants to kill you.
No, everything wants to kill you there. It's staggering.
So it's like, hey, like, I'm Chinese. Do you like me? Like, nope, I don't. I got to get back inside because things are trying to kill me.
Right. And half of the things are in your house.
That's right. That's true.
Watch out for your toilets and your showers.
Yeah, probably in your shoes. There's probably 14 things in your shoes right now trying to kill you.
Yep. I'll just waiting.
So it's a miserable existence, but is it news?
No, I would say it's not news.
Not news. All right. Okay. Last but not least, this is kind of my favorite of the entire show.
Don't bias me.
Pope Francis admits that when I pray, sometimes I fall asleep, which makes me so happy.
Yeah, no, that's like Us Weekly stars. They're just like us.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
This is the thing. Like, this is the first time in history that I've ever, like, I'm not a terribly like religious person. It's the first time that I've ever had a pope like in office. Is it in office? I don't know. A current pope who I've agreed with more than a current president.
Yeah. Jeez.
Right. Like I've looked over the pope and been like, I mean, you make a lot of sense. And then the person, I'm like, I don't think I get that. No, that doesn't, I don't know.
And for there to be outright conflict between the two seems to really put a stamp on the times in which we're living.
That doesn't seem unusual necessarily, but I would think it would be the other roles, right? Like your president would be like more liberal and be like, I don't know, maybe it's okay abortions, and like the Pope should be like,
right.
We're not doing that. That's not a. We're having
lots of condemning language.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's the first time that I've been like, I kind of wish our president would talk to the Pope,
and not yell at him.
Right. And so it's weird. It's a kind of an oogie feeling. The Pope also claims that saints also fell asleep while they were praying. So it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's unreasonable.
No, I think it's kind of nice.
But I think let's put it in the publication.
Okay.
People need to feel good. So
in our publication this week, we've got the DUI of Shooter McGavin. Right.
Yeah.
We've got black licorice overdosing.
Yep.
Which is a little sensational.
That's the expose inside.
We've got a man forced to write 144 nice things about ex-girlfriend, and the Pope who falls asleep while praying.
Yep. That's on the back next to the crossword.
Excellent. So have you figured out a name for your publication?
I would say things you want to know.
Things you want to know. All right. I think that's fair. I think that it's very straightforward. Like if you pick this up, you're going to want to know about all this.
Has a good URL potential.
Right. All right. So there we have it. Things you that you want to know, available on newsstands coming up next week. Thank you for doing that for us. Also coming up on newsstands soon, your album.
Yes.
Maybe
well,
not
gosh,
newsstands.
I hope it gets on newsstands. That'd be awesome.
Wouldn't it? So your new album is going to be called Songs for This Old Heart.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
We had a long discussion about it among the band members. We are a very democratic group.
Yep.
And so we sat around and brainstormed a while. And where it kind of came from is that this album, a lot of the songs sound kind of lively and happy and everything, but most of them are pretty dark and pretty
okay.
And
Halloweeny.
Other than Our Friends Are Out Tonight. Actually, no, even that one. Even that one is a bit the backstory there is
right.
So, but we
Our friends are out tonight. They're on opioids.
Well, mainly it's, man, your life is falling apart, but we're outside. You might as well light it up.
Everything's gone to shit. But hey, you found $20 and that's 4 beers.
Right. And so it is just overall it's kind of a heavy feel, and that's pretty typical, I think, in the among kind of bluegrass and Americana artists, is to have kind of lively music that maybe has a darker undertone to it.
Have you thought about songs for this old heart, and then in the parentheses, don't eat too much licorice? Because it's a good warning.
That's
if you have
true.
an old heart.
That's true. Absolutely.
I'm just saying. I don't know. Have we even said the band's name? I think we may have skipped over that.
Probably.
Okay. So the band, this is important because as it happens to be, Dan just doesn't play on his own. It's called By and By.
Yep.
And the and is an ampersand. That's important.
That is important. And our fiddle player, Claire, will be very happy that I clarified that.
Okay. So by ampersand by. And you have an album coming out on Saturday, November 18th at Sully's in Washington, D.C. If people want to find out more about the show, about the album, about the band By and By, they can go to your Facebook page, which is facebook.com/byandbyband.
Yep.
Now,
and actually, that's our handle on all the socials.
So, okay. They can connect. Now, is the and an ampersand in the URL?
No, can't do an ampersand there, so you have to spell it out.
That could be confusing.
Yeah, so I should not have clarified that.
I know.
Now Claire's upset with me.
Claire, why are you doing this to us? You know what, Claire? This is exactly the reason we can't think of 144 nice things about you.
No. I could, of all people, I think I could think of 144 nice things about Claire.
I bet you stall at 142.
Yeah, but you know why? Because she doesn't like chocolate. That cuts out a lot of nice things that one can say about somebody.
It makes you very suspicious of them, at least.
For sure.
So we have a song, Slow Burn, which has never been played before.
Never once.
So we have the world premiere. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to play a little of this, and then maybe you can tell us a little bit about it.
Sure.
So this is the track from By and By, the track Slow Burn from their new album, Songs for This Old Heart.
Paint my name on an overpass. Just one thing that I hope will last. Can't take it back. I've got to hold on this slow burn, take warning from the rest.
So now it's pretty obvious that the roots of your music are coming from bluegrass.
Yes,
right?
for
So
sure.
there's been kind of a revival of that kind of recently. Nickel Creek kind of, I would say, kind of heading that off, and then a lot of other people coming in behind that as well with, was it Trampled by Turtles and things like this, kind of newer, more accessible bluegrass.
Yeah, I think that's right. I
Yeah.
think there have been two parallel kind of tracks that bluegrass has taken, and they occasionally meet up in bands like Nickel Creek. But yeah, I think we I would say we are now more on the side of the more progressive bluegrass bands. We started off as a pretty traditional bluegrass band playing.
Oh, okay.
And, you know,
Stretch your legs a little and
yeah,
went into some other things.
Yeah.
That's very cool. If you guys want to hear the entire track of Slow Burn, you can fast forward to the 1 hour mark of this show and listen to the entire tune, and also come back and join us as we talk more about music and the world and everything else. I want to get into this. You and I kind of spoke about this a little earlier, and I want to get into our next segment real quick, but come back to this. There, you talked about kind of the two different areas of bluegrass and what that's been like. And I think that that's really fascinating because a lot of people don't know. They know that there's kind of an emergence of bluegrass happening, but not that there are these kind of two factions. So let's talk about that a little bit. In the meantime, bluegrass can be quite a historical genre of music. It's been around a long time in the Appalachians and everything. So I think it's a good lead in for what we like to call This Week in History. So This Week in History is me going through and exhaustively finding absolutely everything that happened in history, sort of, and making a list of those things. And I'm going to tell you the things that happened right around this week. And you're going to let me know what the most impactful one is for you, using whatever criteria you'd like.
Okay.
So since we're running a little behind, I'm going to jump right into it and get started from the great year of 1512. The Sistine Chapel ceiling opens to the public.
Oh.
That is when it happened this week.
Wow.
So Michelangelo's epic ceiling frescoes, who obviously was one of the Ninja Turtles, took several years to complete. They're among his most memorable works. Central in a complex system of decoration featuring numerous figures are 9 panels devoted to the biblical world history. The most famous of these, as we all know, is the creation of Adam, which is a painting in which the arms of God and Adam are stretching towards each other. I like to think the first version was just Adam pulling God's finger, and then he had to like back off and be like, okay, no, it's just touching. We'll just.
The patrons came in and said,
No. Like, okay, well, you know. So in 1812, Michelangelo completed the work and opened it to the public. Interesting thing. This is a fun fact. What is Michelangelo's first name?
Francisco?
Good guess. His first name is Michelangelo.
Oh.
Yeah, that's his first name. We always assume that it's not, right? But
Yeah.
that is his first name.
He was like the Cher of his time?
Yeah, he was Cher in 1512. He was like, just call me Michelangelo.
All right.
I'm the only one.
Interesting.
Last name, Burattoni? I think it's Bunarroti.
Wow, that is very odd.
Yeah.
Huh.
So no wonder they were like, fuck that last name. No, we're just Michelangelo. We'll leave it at, you know what, I'm just calling you Mike.
Yeah.
So I always like that because it's one of the ones we assume, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have kind of a similar. So Da Vinci, we obviously know as Leonardo da Vinci.
Right.
So it's interesting that we think of it as the last name. 1517. Here's a quick quiz for you. In 1517.
Not too long after.
What did Martin Luther post?
Oh. You are asking me.
Yeah.
Yes, the Reformation on posted the I forget what it's called, but on the church door there.
Yeah. A piece of paper.
Yes.
That's all he posted. It wasn't that impressive.
No.
No, he nailed a piece of paper to the door of the Castle Church in Wittenberg, Germany, containing 95 revolutionary opinions that would begin the Protestant Reformation.
Right.
I believe it was like 95
Theses. That's what it is. Yes.
Yeah. One of the things he took umbrage with is how obviously the Roman Catholic Church was being handled. One of the big things is a thing called indulgences. Are you familiar with this?
I am not.
So apparently if you had sins, you could get forgiven from your sins by purchasing indulgences
Yes.
from the church,
Right.
which was basically just giving them a bunch of money and them going like, it's cool.
Right.
And so he was really upset because the wealthy just didn't have to repent for anything. They just went like, yeah, I killed a person, but here's, $10,000. And they were like, all right, try not to do it again.
Right.
And that was it.
Yeah.
So probably a fair bit of being upset. I can understand why that would be upsetting.
On the other hand,
you
have these rich people who are doing these things and just giving their money away like that for.
I mean, they're doing it now. They just give it to lawyers,
That's
right?
true.
Like it's the same thing,
That's
right?
true.
It's like, are you poor? Oh, you're going to jail. Are you
Right.
rich? Okay, you have 15 lawyers. You're fine.
Yep.
So, it hasn't changed that much.
That's true.
Really in the long scheme of it. 1904. Any guesses?
Something with maybe the car or the airplane.
Oh, close. New York City.
Mhm. Oh, the subway.
Subway opens. Nice.
Oh,
Good
awesome.
guess. Yeah. At 7 p.m. that evening, the subway opened to the general public. More than 100,000 people paid a nickel each to take their first ride under Manhattan.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's neat to know.
Isn't that?
Mhm.
Yeah. A nickel. Well, that's not anymore.
No.
It's actually fairly inexpensive. I think it's like $1 now, which is surprising. Because the metro here in DC is not.
It is not $1.
No, it's like $10 and it's like late.
Then again, our rats are only rat sized instead of dog sized.
That's true. That's probably what they use to pull the subways to save money.
There's a whole underground culture of people who like have jobs and everything, but live in little like carved out spaces in the subway,
No,
in subway tunnels. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I
Because
read
you'd
it.
want to do that. That's
I think it's like
interesting.
it's an
Rent's too high.
Yeah.
That's really
Rent is too damn high.
too damn high. All right. Yeah, it's a thing that you wouldn't think to do on purpose,
Right.
right? Like you'd be like, I've really reached the end of my rope. Because there's one thing like there's a lot of places I would go before next to a speeding train.
Right. But
Right.
maybe some people find that comforting. Maybe they grew up next to the train and
Maybe
it
I would.
rocks them to sleep.
I would be concerned that I'd roll over in my sleep, right? Like I'd have some dream, and then just smash.
Man,
and
the trains would be the last thing I'd be scared of in there.
That's also true. The other people,
Right. That's
because
right.
you're in New York.
Right.
If you've met New Yorkers, that's
And they're the train cave dwellers. So
right. They're the
it's really
ones
a
that the
nice
others.
distillery of
Yeah, the ones that the other New Yorkers were like, "Oh, we can't deal with you. Get in a cave."
right.
Because if you've ever been to New York, that's an intense experience. Have you driven in New York?
Oh yeah, I love driving in New York.
Driving in New York is essentially like
It's a
being-
game of Mario Kart.
right.
It's
It
awesome.
really is. It's like being an extra in Death Race, right? Right?
Yeah.
Like it's weird because if you do things like put your signals on, you lose. Right?
Yeah, no,
Like,
you got to jump.
You
You
just-
got to just jump.
you just have to like slowly merge in and just ignore horns.
You
and
have to care about your car less than the other guy cares about his.
That's the key.
Yep.
That is how we always got. So when we toured, I told you I was in a band, right?
Yep.
We toured up to New York several times. We would just be in an old shitty tour van,
Right.
and it was brilliant
Right.
because we were bigger, and everyone knew like there's no way we
Right.
cared about that van,
Right.
And so they were like,
Nor
"Whoa,
did you have
whoa,
very
whoa,
good
whoa!"
control over it.
Yeah,
You're
they're like, "Just
flying
you
down.
go ahead, because you will murder me. I know it."
Right.
And then you'll jump out of that van and take my car.
Right.
So, but yeah, you'll walking in New York, you'll be like, "Hey, hi," and they'll be like, "Fuck you," and you're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. Though here, if you say hi to somebody, they'll look at you and make you feel weird.
They'll look at you like, are you important? No, nope, you're not important. Never. For a second, I thought you might be important, and now I don't care.
Yeah, rarely do people think I'm important.
Yeah, I'm good at
That's
blending
why I had
in
kids.
and not being important.
Right.
I'm awesome at that. So yeah, so that happened, and I guess that's interesting though, because that means everybody was like just walking around before that. They're horses. I guess there are a ton of
Right.
horses because 1904, like you don't really have the Model T happening yet, right?
No.
So cars are pretty rare,
Yeah.
and there's no subway, so there's no buses or anything. Maybe there's some trolley cars. Or, I don't know.
Oh yeah, maybe some above ground.
There's no
trolleys.
taxis, so
Yeah.
you're just hoofing it.
Yeah. Gross.
No wonder we're no longer then.
Yeah.
And there's poop everywhere because of the courses.
yeah.
Ah,
I don't know. The subway.
no wonder they're so mad in New York. They had to live through that. They're like grandparents are like, "Oh, this is why we hate everyone."
Right.
And you're like, "Oh, that's a really good point." All right, 1923. This one I like quite a bit. Happy Death Day. I know that's a juxtaposition that's a little hard to get over. But Jimmy Ryan passed away in 1923. He was born in 1863. somewhat decent life, I guess, for the time. His full name, James Edward Ryan. I feel like you don't know this guy from the look on your face.
I don't.
You should. He was an American baseball player.
Oh,
Okay. Now I know you're thinking like, well, I've heard of baseball players from that time period, like Ty Cobb or, those types of folks, right?
Right. Who's been reincarnated as the president's lawyer.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This is one that you need to know of because I'm guessing from your look, you're not a big sports fan.
Yeah. My dad is not from this country.
Okay.
And so I was raised more on soccer and cricket.
So people like Lou Gehrig, they're known for like stats and for winning and stuff like that. Not so much James Ryan. He was the first Major League Baseball player ever to punch a sports writer.
Oh, not nearly the last, but set off a good tradition there.
How great is that? So George Bichelle in 1892 got a whacking from Jimmy Ryan. And also, Ryan, this won't mean much to you, so let your eyes glaze over. Ryan is also the first Major League player to pitch and hit for the cycle in the same game. I don't know. So what that means is if you hit for the cycle, it means you hit a single, a double, a triple, and a home run.
Okay.
Right?
And
he hit for the cycle, which is very difficult to do, right? And then somebody hit for the cycle off of him as the pitcher in the same game.
Wow.
So I assume it was tied at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't know that happened. So I was kind of like, I thought that was pretty hilarious because there's only like hitting for the cycle is one of the more rare things.
Yeah. I'm surprised that has a name, but I guess on the other hand, I'm not surprised it has a name.
So hitting for the cycle, one of the more rare things. Perfect games are pretty up there as well. So the fact that two of them happened in the same game, but for opposing teams, and the pitcher is the guy that both pitched for the one and then hit for the other.
Interesting.
Is kind of cool. That happened in 1888.
For sure.
Anyhow, last couple here. 1925, the first person ever on TV. You know who it was?
Was it a king?
Nope,
Or
it wasn't.
President?
No, it was a 15-year-old boy who happened to be working at the lab of John L. Baird, the inventor of the first working television system.
Oh. Huh.
So he was just, I assume, in the other room, like,
Getting
cleaning
blasted
up.
with some kind of radiation.
Yeah, probably. Because they didn't know how to make it happen. Yeah. And so they probably were like, I don't know, I guess we could put this diode. Oh, it's working. It's working. Oh, Daniel, you're on TV. And Daniel like, I'm sorry. Was I doing something wrong?
So you are asking me in this game then to compare basically the advent of television against the advent of Protestantism.
Yeah. And the first person to ever punch a sports writer.
Oh, geez.
I'm just saying.
Those are three pretty consequential things.
All right. So last but not least, 1938. This one you should probably know.
Okay.
1938 happened on Halloween.
Kristallnacht?
No. It's on Halloween.
Okay.
What was the most popular form of entertainment in 1938?
Rolling the wheel down the street?
No.
Most
1938.
form of...
I mean, the TV was invented in 25, but wasn't popular yet.
I guess radio was out by then. It had been out in World War I.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very popular. 1938 on Halloween.
Is that the War of the Worlds thing?
It is.
Oh,
Yeah. Mars
cool.
invasion causes national panic as Orson Welles panics the nation with his radio adaptation of the H.G. Wells classic novel War of the Worlds about a Martian alien invasion. Broadcast in the style, and this was broadcast in the style of an ongoing news event. Many people missed the opening disclaimer and believed it was a live broadcast of an actual alien invasion.
Right. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I have always loved that story.
That explains like Twitter, right? Because on Twitter, all you have to be is like, I don't know if you know this, but Barack Obama has cancer. And somebody be like, he has cancer, everybody. It's like, it's everywhere. And people are like, nope, none of that was
I feel
true.
like I've always been envious of the people who went through that, though. I would like to know what it feels like to feel like aliens are invading.
Horrifying, I'm assuming.
I would assume, but then to get to the end of that and have it not happen seems like it'd be really cool.
Because we don't have like theater that like we're so used to it now, having that fourth wall,
Right.
We,
Absolutely.
like, we watch a movie, we know it's a movie that's like basically the equivalent to that, as close as it would be coming,
Right.
would be Blair Witch Project.
Right.
Because a lot of people went to the Blair Witch
yeah, that
Project and
scared the
thought,
shit out of me.
see,
Yeah.
so you did get to experience it.
That's
That
true.
was essentially the equivalent.
That's true.
Because you went, oh my God, there's actually a fucking witch.
Yeah.
And now you're looking back and be like, what?
Though I kind of feel like that's kind of the world we're living in right now, too.
That's right. And so,
It's like, this can't be fucking real.
yeah, that's right. We're living. What if right now we find out that essentially the last year has been a real life adaptation of Trump becoming president? Right? Like
that Jim Carrey movie. Trump doesn't even know that that
Yeah.
he's being filmed.
right. And then we just find out that, oh, yeah. So what happened was there was like the whole, like, remember when they captured Osama bin Laden and there was like all that news stuff on page 2, they were like, disclaimer,
Right.
we're going to do this awesome theater thing. Like in a couple of years, you're
Right.
going to love it. It's going to be so crazy. It's going to be super scary.
That's funny. All right. So I think, so those are my choices.
Yeah, those are them.
All right. I think I'm going to have to go with War of the Worlds.
Wow.
This
Okay.
is my favorite story,
At the end,
which is
we got
for
him
me
into-
the most consequential.
It
Yeah.
is. It's interesting because it really redefined a lot of things about entertainment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because
And it's just a great story.
yeah,
And Sistine Chapel's fine, but
yeah.
you know,
Well, that was a defining moment of entertainment as well, I suppose. But nobody thought it was really God up on that ceiling.
right.
That'd be great if they walked in there like, whoa!
You don't know.
Holy crap!
Back then, the colors that he used,
That's true.
people might have thought that.
They had a disclaimer like at the door.
Right.
I mean, you're going to
Not
see
actual God.
God, but it's not actually God. Oh, okay, good. Woo! If he knew what I had been up to. All right, so that is the most important historical thing that has happened, according to You Want to Know About That magazine.
Right.
All right, excellent. So now, to make history of our own, we want to find out a little bit about you. So let's start with our little segment we do here to get to know about you. We call this Near and Far.
Near. Go far again. Far. See, that's what it's all about. You understand?
You understand? So we're going to get 2 stories from you, one that happened close to home and one out in your adventures. So let's start close to home. Do you have something for Near?
Sure. I think for Near, I would say the way that the band came together. We basically, the entire band has come together on the front porch of our mandolin player Jim's house.
Really? Oh, okay, cool.
And
They just wander up and you're like, you're now in the band.
and in fact that has happened. So at this point the band only has one of its original members left. Our mandolin player Jim is the only original member.
Interesting.
And then I joined the band at some point. They had a bunch of people,
I
none
don't
of
even
whom were
remember it.
I
Just-
to a certain extent
Yeah.
I don't. It's been a long time. We got the current lineup minus our bass player about 8 years ago. 7 years.
Oh, wow, okay.
7 years ago.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah, and we had our lead singer came in. She had kind of just moved to town, and she came in and joined the band when we really needed a singer who wasn't me.
Yeah.
And our fiddle player just happened to be walking by and heard us play, and we
Was
talked
like,
to her, and she
I play fiddle?
brought her yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And she brought her violin, and we played, and it all happened on this front porch.
It must
and-
be a high traffic porch at that point.
Yeah, I mean it's on kind of what feels like a little bit of a sleepy street, but the right people are walking by.
Apparently.
Yeah, and
Oh,
so
that's wild.
and so we have, most of the songs that are on this record were arranged on that porch. We have, we spend all our time there,
Oh, that's cool.
whenever it's comfortable, just hanging out on that porch. So.
Have you had anybody walk up who you really didn't want in the band, and so you're like, shh, stop playing. So they're like,
We've had a lot of strange people walk up. I mean, at different times, it's almost been, kind of like concerts on the street, with people kind of standing around listening to us play.
oh, cool.
But we've definitely had a few people who who took some liberties and came in, gave some opinions when we were arranging songs as to what we should be doing.
If I was doing this, you're not doing this.
Without even that caveat. So
I'm gonna be your manager now. No,
Right.
I don't want you to be my manager. That's really awesome. There's not, with the advent of the internet and everything, so much of that doesn't happen, right? Because you put a Craigslist post up and you hope that somebody decent shows up to auditions and things
Right.
like that. So I think there's something really like, it probably feels kind of like fate or like a family coming together because of that.
Yeah, it does. It's a really great place to be, especially, and I think we all feel a connection to that space as kind of cultivating that. So
yeah, that's very cool. How about Far? Do you have anything on your adventures out playing music? It's been a long time. It sounds like that you've been playing. So
yeah,
we know crazy things happen. So
for sure.
What's been going on?
We were once playing some shows down in Charlottesville, Virginia, and we'd gone down there. We had on one of the nights that we were down there, we had a wedding.
Very
and
cool.
the wedding party put us up in a hotel.
Nice.
And we have.
It's a beautiful city.
It is a beautiful
We've been there a
city,
bunch of times.
for sure.
When there's not Nazis there, it's awesome.
Right. Yeah, and they weren't even from there. So
Yeah.
and we'd been a band already at that point that with this lineup for a few years, and we're already close enough with each other that we knew each other's personalities, and we're kind of messing with each other. And our banjo player Steve, we rib him sometimes that he's a bit of a neat freak and pretty
okay.
particular. He's the guy whenever we go, we go to festivals and stuff and we camp. He's the guy that gets a hotel 15 minutes away, so that he'll stay and hang
Right.
out late night, then he'll go and sleep and have a shower and then come back.
Right.
But we were very lucky to have him when we pulled into the terrible motel that the bride and groom had booked for us.
Oh
I
no,
walked
it wasn't
in
good.
and he brought out his like megawatt flashlight and inspected for bed bugs and found them and saved the whole bit. It was Steve's
Wow.
his particularity.
I thought you were gonna go black light with that one.
No,
but it was
gosh.
bed bugs.
We could have grossed ourselves out in several ways and taken things home with us that we didn't want to take home, but it was so
that wouldn't have been a pleasant experience at all. I remember I drove down to New Orleans with an ex of mine once, and like we'd gotten to a point where like, we should probably like stop for the night kind of thing. We stopped at just like the cheapest motel we could find because we're just going to be for a few hours. We'll take a nap and then get back on the road. And it was the first time I ever went to a place where I was like, no, this is terrible. Like there were like cigarette burns it was like AstroTurf as the rugs and like it was lawn furniture in the bedroom. Oh, it was so bad.
That's rough.
And you had to rent a remote control for the TV. And I was like, nope, I'm out. Thanks. I'm sorry. I really overestimated how little I cared. I
underestimated how comfortable my car seems right now.
Right, exactly. I could drive. I'll be good.
Right.
So earlier you were saying we were talking about bluegrass and kind of the divergence of things, and I wanted to go back into that. So you were saying that there's basically kind of two different types of bluegrass that have diverged out. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think as with all things, it's maybe a little more complex than that. But generally, there is a pretty strong scene of traditionalist bluegrass fans and musicians who...
Those are the technicians, right?
They're the technicians, and they're the people who are very, very particular about what is called bluegrass.
Right.
And then there are the other people who play bluegrass who don't really care whether you call it bluegrass. Like us, like we're you can call us bluegrass. We also, we're Americana. Kind of we call it arms wide open.
And that's more about, you were saying more about soul and kind of content, less about the technical side.
Yeah, and I think our banjo player will kill me for saying all of this stuff, but I think we are, more in the tradition of singer-songwriters. I write a lot. Our lead singer writes a lot, and so we're really excited to be doing kind of our own music, and we're bringing in people who were not necessarily from the bluegrass tradition. I mean, our fiddle player didn't play bluegrass fiddle, and our so.
Oh my God, we're running out of time. I think that's interesting though to hear how diverse that genre has come. We have everything in rock. It would be like the difference between like Dream Theater and Rush versus Nirvana, which was all just angst and stuff. So it's interesting to hear that it's matured that way and has such a wide range. So anyhow, thanks for spending time with us. Did you have a good time?
I did.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that very much, Dan. All right, so without further ado, this week, Friday, November 10th, Jerome Williams is playing Bushwallers Pub in Frederick, Maryland. Saturday, November 11th, Humble Fires at Strange Matter in Richmond, Virginia. Saturday, November 18th, don't forget, By and By at Sully's, Washington, D.C. They're going to be releasing Songs for This Old Heart. So go check them out. Please like our posts, follow us, retweet us, and share us. Share the show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We can't do this without you. Thanks everyone for all their contributions. Thanks for Dan for wasting a perfectly good hour with us. This has been another wasted hour, and if you just realized that, don't blame us. We warned you.